kind of the hot buttons here this week in practice before you play the second exhibition?
You don't have enough time for that right now. There's
Got
actually it's everything, right? Like we were pretty good offensively, but there's still areas we can get better. But I would say most of the emphasis was on our defense, just all the breakdowns. And they're such a unique system. They play with such pace. And I think one thing I remember working for Mac, he always said, like, you can't prepare for that. Like, you just don't realize how fast they're playing. And I think what happens when you play people that play that fast, we've played people that play fast, but if that initial surge isn't there, it slows down a little bit. Well, like Creighton is always pushing. If that initial surge isn't there, they just flow into their kind of their motion. And our guys, that was really difficult for our guys to deal with. But a terrific game for Creighton and for us because there's a lot to learn. And I think our guys will get better because of it.
Is that maybe where you miss Zach the most? Because last year, if you made a defensive mistake, he could offset that.
Absolutely, because Zach was the ultimate eraser, right? Like, mistakes are made, and a lot of mistakes were made, but he's such an elite defender. He's always there to protect the rim, and he was able to cover a lot of those mistakes up. Can we get to that point? We certainly hope so, but like you have to go through that. You got to realize, like, for those freshmen that played, they'd never been in that environment. Will Berg, a guy, he's just never been in that type of environment where he's expected to play. So I think everyone across the board, like even Braden Smith, Trey Kaufman, and Fletcher Lawyer, they did good things, but there's still areas they have to get better at.
Who are your talkers on defense right now after Mason and Zach?
Say that again?
Who are your talkers on defense? Who are your loudest voices?
That's interesting. I think when it's in drill work, they all excel, but then when it goes live, guys tend to not communicate as much, and that's obviously, you guys have heard Coach Painter. That's been a big talking point with our guys. I think Raleigh Burgess is really grasping things. I think he's been a really good communicator so far. It's expected of all of them, but as I said, I think it starts with those three guys: Trey Kaufman, Fletcher, and Braden. Just holding them to a really high standard. We're expecting a lot out of them in all areas. So we have to continue to get better at that as a group.
Just the initial surge defensively that Jakari and CJ gave you.
Yeah.
Is that their role this year? I mean, is that where they make their most impact? From a defensive perspective?
They've been good in that area through all of the practices. They have to continue to get better in that area. A couple times they reached out there away from the basket, and it opened up driving lanes. They just have to be solid out there, but they've been really good in that area in particular, but they have to get better off the ball, continue to learn. I don't know. I mean, is that the only area? No, they're good players. They're two-way players. They can defend people, and there's a willingness to defend, and they can also score the basketball. So, but it's an experience for those guys. This is the first time through. This is the first time through an exhibition game in front of a full house at Mackey. So we need all of this experience, and we've got to make some big strides, and we can't do that.
How did your centers do?
Hit or miss. I mean, there were some positive moments, but you know, I mean, are we surprised either way? No. I mean, they've got to get experience. They've got to get some mileage in games. There's going to be growing pains, so they'll continue to get better.
What was the best thing that happened in that game, from your coaching staff's point of view?
I think the best thing that happened was exactly what happened. We got beat, and we got exposed from a defensive standpoint. It also shows our guys that we need scouting. They need our help, right? We need to prepare them. Preparation's really important. but I just, does it help you if you beat somebody by 30 or 40 points? You get guys minutes, any game time experience is good, but I know that game, playing against Creighton in that environment, the game the year before, playing against Arkansas, that helped our team. And I think Creighton will tell you the same thing. It's really going to help them and make them better.
We've seen the juniors, obviously they have a lot of experience, and they're your most experienced players, but kind of step up into, Brady's a natural leader, obviously,
Yeah.
with Fletcher and Trey, guys that maybe didn't speak up as much in the past.
Yeah, I think Fletch does a pretty good job of being vocal, and he continues. He's got that type of personality, and that's something that we need. I think more than anything, just with those three guys, it's all areas. It's on and off the floor. On the floor in particular, they're in different roles now too, right? There's more expected of them, and they've got to do their job and do it at a high level, and they've got to lead. Some of our guys didn't know what to do at shoot around, like, what's the process? And I heard Braden even before the game, hey, here's what we do in warm-ups. He was talking to CJ about, like, kind of this is how it goes, and I think all of those things are positive, and that's what we need from those guys. Not only do we need their good play on the floor, but also all those other areas that guys are going through for the first time. They've got to show them the way.
Just, you guys are going to ask Brady to play 100 miles an hour offensively this season. How do you preserve him at both ends of the floor for, the 35 minutes a game you're going to need him?
Yeah, it's not a ton of, it is different because we don't have Zach, but like, he did a lot for us last year, and everything kind of runs through him. So now there's even more responsibility, and then I think you add that, like, he's probably going to score it a little bit more and be aggressive offensively. He's in great shape, but one thing that we're challenging him on is, okay, you were ultra aggressive offensively, and we love that. He was able to score the ball. He was really able to get to his shot anytime he needed to get to it. Well, now you got to go back down on the other end, and you got to be at a high level. You got to be at a high level. That's what's expected of you. And Braden certainly has, goals of playing in the NBA. Well, that's what those kind of guys do. A 6-foot guy, they can be a good offensive player, but they can also go down on the defensive end and be a disruptive guy, be a guy that gets in on a lot of plays, and I think he's got to be able to do that. Is it taxing physically and mentally? You bet it is, but he's a guy that has the ability to do that.
How do you treat this game against Green Valley State?
It'll be
still trying to figure out a lot of things.
Yeah, we really are still trying to figure out a lot, and I thought Coach Painter did a good job of trying to play a lot of different combinations. I think it'll be kind of similar. We'll spend a little bit more time on preparation. So I think that'll be good for the guys to get a full scouting report, to have a walkthrough, to watch some more film. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it still gets down to what we're doing. And I think we got better yesterday in practice, before practice, watching the film, watching our mistakes. And then I think we have to do the same today. We have to get better in the areas that we have to get better in.
Part because of Kalkbrenner, you went with true size more often, Creighton, than having Trey at the 5. Do you guys want a longer look at Trey at the 5?
Yeah,
like this?
yeah. I mean, I think I don't know what Coach will do, but I think that's always a possibility. And we do have a lot of different ways we can play. I think what we're trying to find out right now is which way is the best way for us to be the most efficient team, from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint. But yeah, I think that could be a good look for us, Brian, with him being at the 5 at times and playing small.
What can CJ provide for you guys offensively this year?
Well, he's a shot maker. I don't know that he's a true point, but he's just a good guard that can go make plays. He can get to his spots. He can get to his spots, and he can jump up and shoot it from 3 or mid-range, and he can hit difficult shots. So we think that he can provide some scoring boost to another guy that can go make a shot. I think the thing he's working on is becoming a better facilitator and trying to incorporate others. But we've been very pleased with him.
Thank you,
That's
Paul.
Paul.
All right.